Welcome to On the X. My guest today is George Kittle, tight end for the San Francisco 49ers and a fan favorite for his energy, toughness, and love of the game. George played college football at the University of Iowa before being drafted by the 49ers in 2017, where he set franchise records and became known for his rare combination of receiving skill, blocking power, and relentless competitiveness. A multi-time Pro Bowler and first-team All-Pro, he also set the NFL single-season record for receiving yards by a tight end in 2018. But his impact goes far beyond the field. George has been a leading voice for mental health, especially for veterans, donating more than $250,000 to military nonprofits, hosting hundreds of military and frontline heroes at 49ers games, and helping launch a free mobile app with mental health resources for veterans. His efforts earned him the NFL Salute to Service Award, and now he's proud to serve as an official teammate of the Navy SEAL Foundation, furthering his commitment to supporting those who sacrifice for our country. So here we go, George Kittle on the X. You know, of all the podcast interviews I've done, this is probably one where my couple groups of dude friends were the most excited about the person I was talking to. And I've never done this, but I kind of crowdsourced some questions from those guys. So I've got right? I've never done that before ahead of time, gone out to my friends and said, hey, I'm talking to so-and-so on the podcast tomorrow. What would you want to ask him? But given their interest in general and some of the things we talk about, I was like, hey, I'm talking to George Kittle. What would you want to ask him? And after they got past the joke questions, right?
For sure.
Sort of like the shit talking and stuff.
Will you ask me at least one of those, at least?
Yeah. Well, I may have to pull it up on my phone and be like, here's the bullshit this guy came up with. But, so it's kind of two groups. It's my college buddies, like my really good friends from college. And a lot of them are NFL fans, some stronger than others, but everybody's a football fan to some extent or another. And then there's a group of dudes where local guys with me that we, not every Sunday, but maybe every other Sunday, we get together. We do a little kind of spa session over at my community center where we hit the hot tub and the sauna and we kind of talk. And then we'll watch the afternoon games. So I went out to both those groups. And so, there'll be some that I throw in here that they wanted to hear, which were good questions. I was like, okay, that's good.
I can't wait. Where'd you go to college, Chris?
Naval Academy.
Oh, yeah. You're a Naval Academy guy. That was that was my second offer ever, was the Navy.
Really?
Yeah. Air Force was my first, and the Navy offered me second. The Navy coach actually came and visited my house when I was a junior. It was pretty cool.
No way.
Yep.
Wait, now, were you thinking about that at all, or was it just Iowa and that's what I'm doing?
Well, my dream school was Wisconsin and Iowa because I was born in Madison, Wisconsin. I grew up a huge Wisconsin Badger fan. My dad played at Iowa, and so that was my other dream school. And then actually neither one of them recruited me literally until the last week. And then Iowa offered me on signing day, and I never talked to a coach. Anything. They just had a couple guys who decommitted last second and they had a couple offers. And since they knew my dad because he played there, they're like, all right, he's a decent player. We'll see if we can work with it. And I got a scholarship. And then my only other offer was Weber State at Ogden, Utah. So it was basically Navy or Weber State were my two options.
Wow. How things might have been different had they gone the Navy route.
It would have been a lot different. I don't know how. Because I can't remember, but at the time it was you had you play your years, and then if you went to the NFL, there's you had to come back and serve. And I don't know how excited my mom was about that concept because so she was like, I want you just to go have a normal college experience. And I was like, well, we'll see what happens. It is what it is.
Yeah, it would have been a lot different. I don't know what the ruels are on that now either, because there have been guys from Navy that have gone into the NFL. Because I've had a couple. There's been one or two guys from Air Force or Navy that have been on the Niners, and they after I'm done, I have to go back. I'm like, that's a wild concept. That hey, live your dream, but you're coming right back when you're done. Yeah. Financially, you're going to be a lot better off than most of those guys.
Yes.
You're
for sure.
You're sort of contemporaries there in the Navy. So that would be an interesting dynamic. So just a little bit on that then, for you growing up, what got you interested in football in the first place and made you think, okay, this is something that I can go do? And at what point was it in college or whatever, where you're like, I actually think I can make a real career out of this?
I was in love with football as early as I can remember. My dad played at the University of Iowa. And so like he loves football. Like I think my dad actually, he loves my family, and then football is like 1% less at the most. It might be more. Like he loves
Yeah.
football. And so like he passed it on to me. And like my earliest memories, I remember, like I said, I was born in Madison, Wisconsin. Like I grew up going to Camp Randall Stadium. Like I was born on a football Saturday. Like Wisconsin won the game by like 70 points. They could see the stadium from the hospital room. And my dad was like, yeah, it's going to be a boy and he's going to love football. And so like I literally grew up going to all these Wisconsin Badger games. For anyone that's, older than the age of 30, I would say if you remember Ron Dane, the Heisman Trophy winner from 1999, that was my favorite player growing up. He was a running back for the Badgers, played the NFL for a little bit, but like I was a diehard football fan from the start. And then I would say really like when it clicked for me, like I was a solid high school player. Like I was a free safety wide receiver. I was like first, second team all state, my junior and senior year, but I weighed 180 pounds and I was 6'1". And then I went to the University of Iowa, and it kind of clicked for me. Like I've always been a really good athlete. I can jump, I'm fast, really good body control. And then, University of Iowa, it's a very humbling experience because like I said, I graduated 180 pounds. And then by my senior year at Iowa, I was 265 pounds. So I put on 85 pounds. Now I play at 245. That's like my weight that I play every single day. I learned that speed kills, and like being the biggest guy doesn't, as long as you're fast and strong, you can make it work.
Yeah.
But I would say it was really like, I was like sixth person on the depth chart going into my redshirt sophomore year. And then that following spring ball after the season, there were a couple of injuries, and I just had an opportunity, and like I kind of stopped messing up. I was kind of I couldn't really handle the playbook. And then took some strides there, made some plays, and I, got an opportunity, and I just kind of never let go. But it was really like my redshirt junior year when I started to play a lot, and I figured out the offense, I figured out my techniques, my confidence, and then it just kind of kept going from there. And my dad always told me, he's like, when you get an opportunity, like you don't know when the opportunity is going to come. You're not going to be ready for it. And if you're not ready for it, it's going to pass you by. And I would say that like early in my college career, I let that opportunity pass me by because I just wasn't ready for it. And I got really lucky again because, like I said, there were some injuries ahead of me. Like three guys ahead of me all got hurt. And all of a sudden, I'm the starting tight end in the spring game. And I did well enough in that season where then I was the starter my senior year, and I was able to, go on from that. But it's just like I got a second chance at that opportunity. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna mess out up again. And thankfully I did. But so like my redshirt junior year, I kind of figured out like I can play this at a high level. I can do this.
Yeah. Did you have another career path in mind? Like going to school, were you, okay, if I don't play in the NFL, I'm going to go do this?
I had a couple ideas. One thing I've always wanted to do, like I always wanted to be like a school teacher. Like okay. I love hanging out with like kids and like putting smiles on their faces. And like, there's just like the joy of being in like a classroom. And like, I know it's incredibly difficult. I have a bunch of friends who are teachers, like fourth grade teachers. But I've always felt that like, if you could impact like the youth in a very positive way and like, I don't know, kind of teach the youth to enjoy every single day and to treat others how you want to be treated. And like, you're just making the world a better place. So that was something I've always wanted to do. But it was between that and then I had a lot of connections my dad did into coaching. And so that was like basically my backup was either school teacher or somehow getting into coaching. And don't know how that would have gone for me because the hours are absolutely crazy and the dungeons that those guys are sitting in for scouting and stuff. But those are kind of my two backup plans. But the school teaching one, I think I would have done a pretty good job at.
When you were drafted, was it like, I don't care where I go, I just want to go? Did you have your sights set on a specific team? Did you know where you might end up at all?
Let's see. Thinking back on it, no. I grew up a Bears fan. I'm a Bears and Cubs fan. I like the Chicago teams, and so I was like, that'd be really cool, close to home, close to family. That could be really fun. I didn't even think about the Niners until like the week before the draft. They worked out my quarterback, CJ Beathard at the University of Iowa, and we were later drafted together. He was in the 3rd round and I was in the 5th round. And they did a workout And I was the only person available to do the workout with CJ. And it's actually, this is a fun story. So we usually, cause like I said, it was like the week before the draft. And so all like the guys who are trying to go to the draft are usually available for workouts. Like if someone came in, it was like, hey, I'd call CJ, hey, I need a quarterback. Can you throw to me today? Cause the Browns are here. I have to do a workout with them. And so we help each other out. Well, I had done a couple of these workouts for CJ, and I had like done like 2 of the day before, like back-to-back days. And he had the Niners coming in, and he had like 3 receivers already. And so I was like, hey, I'm out. Like my legs are shot. Like I can't do another workout because they just run you. They run you dead. And so that night, the day before, I went out with one of my offensive lineman buddies, and we had a fantastic night. We were up incredibly late, drank a lot of beer, had a great time. And I get a call at like, I probably went to bed like at 4 or 5 a.m. I get a call like at 8 a.m. from CJ, and he's like, hey man, all the receivers bailed. Like no one's here to run routes for me. Like I need you. And I was like, oh buddy, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make that one. And he was like, come on, like I need you to show up for it. And so I get there, like I got 2.5 hours of sleep, I sit in the hot tub for like an hour, just trying to like wake up, just chugging Gatorades. And I actually ended up having the best workout of my entire life. Caught every single pass, like one-handed catches. Like I was playing out of my absolute mind. And because of that workout, the quarterback's coach for the Niners, the next day, the Niners flew me out for like a formal interview to San Francisco because I did so good in the workout. And I was like, wow, what an opportunity of that. So like, then I was in the building, I got to meet all the coaches. And then they drafted me like a week later. And so I thought that was a pretty random experience. I was just like, wow, I almost didn't show up for that. And now look at me, I'm the San Francisco 49er 9 years later.
There's the lesson, folks. Stay up until 4 a.m. drinking beer, get 2.5 hours for your the night before some big deal.
I wasn't even supposed to be in it. It just suddenly just happened. I was like, oh, well, might as well just go be your best out there, I guess. So it is what it is. But that was a wild experience that I will never forget.
I would chalk that one up to youth. I said there's a sign on the liquor store here locally that says the best cure for a hangover is being 25. And I'm like, yep, that's about right. You know, so
I understand that now. I understand that.
Right. I know. I'm 50. I'd be dead if I tried to do something like that these days. So
sure. I feel you. I will say the other team that I thought was going to draft me was my agent called me during the draft and he goes, hey, the Seahawks are about to draft you in the 5th round. And I was like, cool. Sounds great. And then I get a call from the Niners who had the pick before the Seahawks, and they drafted me before the Seahawks did.
Okay.
So like I thought I was going to Seattle. That's what my agent told me. And then next thing I know, I'm talking to John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah. What was the biggest like culture shock getting into the NFL? Like what was the biggest like, wow, this is way different, or something that was obviously you're going into an unknown, but there's got to be things where it's like, I wasn't prepared for that at all, or this is so different from college ball.
I'll give you a couple of things. The one thing was going from Iowa and the Midwest to Silicon Valley in California, 2 completely different places. Like there are no similarities. Like that was a little bit of a culture shock to me. Just like, whether it was just like restaurants, the vibe of the city, the culture of the city, like there is not a lot of similarities between the Midwest and the West Coast. So that was a culture shock for me initially. And then NFL wise and football wise, I would say the freedom that you have as an NFL football player, because now it's like your job and you don't have school, right? Like I don't have to show up to 4 classes. It's like, no, your job Monday through Sunday is football. And so you just have to do everything you can to be ready for it. And just the hours that you have, like in the spring, like when OTAs start, you're there from like 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. and then you're off. And that's only 4 days a week. So it's like, well, what are you going to do with all your time? Because in college, they'd have you do all these workouts and then you have school and all this stuff. But like, you just have all this free time to decide what you want to do with yourself. And I figured out pretty quickly, I was like luckily, like my dad and my wife, my girlfriend at the time though, were like, hey, like, let's just try to stay as locked in as you can. Cause like, this is your one shot. You know, you finally achieved your dream of playing NFL. Like, let's figure this out. So like I spend most of my time, whether it was studying or working out or like doing body maintenance stuff. I did a pretty good job of that initially in my career. So like just that freedom was like a complete culture shock to me because like the University of Iowa would be like, hey, you need to do this, 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 and this. And the next thing you know, it's 8 p.m. I'm going to bed and I'm waking up the next day at 5 a.m. for workouts. That's just not how the NFL is. So that was way different. And then just like the NFL, like just the experience between coaches and like the locker room, it's just way more open because like you have guys in there that are 20 years old and then you have guys in there that are 35 with 4 kids and they've been married for 15 years. Like, it's just like I had like one of our like Joe Staley, who's our left tackle, played for, I want to say 13 years for the Niners. I had him for his last 3. Like, you know, married with kids, and he was older. He was the same age as Kyle Shanahan, I think. And so like we have an offensive lineman who's the same age as our head coach. And so like that was just like a weird concept for me to grasp because like my coach at University of Iowa, he's been there for 20 years, you know, he's an older guy. And it's like his culture and the way that he sets it. But like the NFL, like you kind of, your team builds its culture every single year based on the guys in the building. And that's a very cool nuance to it because like the culture is based on the players and what they say and what they say. Like the coaches can be like, hey, we're going to do this and this, but it's up to the players to enforce it, which is pretty cool because there's a lot of guys in the league that will tell coaches, no, I'm not going to do that. It's like, no, I'm not going to practice today. And it's just like, it's wild to see that in real life. You're like, you can say no? That's crazy. And then you just don't experience that in college. So that was the thing that I had to get used to.
Before we move on from the college thing, what's your cut on like NIL and where that stands these days, right? Not to put you on the spot, but I'm just kind of curious what's your cut on, because this is one of these things where I always felt the whole idea of players in the NCAA playing and making no money, but yet all these other people around to make all this money and it was like this sort of integrity of the game thing. I'm like, hey, that doesn't sit well with me, right?
No, it doesn't.
You know,
not at all.
And then I watched like that Johnny Manziel documentary, and he's like, they're selling shirts with my name on them, and I'm like, yeah, he's kind of right, you know. So I'm just kind of curious because it's different now. Obviously, guys can't make money and whatnot. So I'm just kind of curious where do you think that should live, so to speak?
I 100% am behind players getting paid because the NCAA was making way too much money off of these, and the coaches are making way too much money off of these players, and they're not seeing anything back from it. Like, especially like the Johnny Manziels, the Saquon Barkleys, the Christian McCaffreys, the Derrick Henrys, like how are you not getting paid? Because you're making them millions of dollars just in jersey sales and revenue like that, and you don't see a cent of it. But hey, you're getting college paid for, and you're getting an education. Well, it's like, I mean, a majority of the guys who go to the NFL, like those caliber of players who are making all the money, like they don't, like, I don't know if Christian McCaffrey really needs to graduate from Stanford because he's going to be pretty set up for the rest of his life. Right.
Right. Yeah.
And so I'm all for paying the players. Where I get caught up is I hate this like 1 year free agent thing. It really bothers me. And I have this thing. It's like there are these, and like, I like guys getting an opportunity and going places. Like there's once in a while where like guys come across like a coach that they just can't like deal with mentally, or like they just don't vibe with and they need a fresh start. And I'm all for that. Like I get that. But the guys who go to like 3 to 4 schools over the course of 4 years and they get paid hundreds of $1,000s to go to each school, and then they either don't win their job and so they transfer again, or there's like, well, hey, I played well here and now like another school's calling me and offer me more money. Like that kind of bothers me. Like I'm all for like the guy who goes to call it Kent State, and nothing against Kent State, but like let's say there's a running back who goes to Kent State and then Alabama offers him money to come play at Alabama. Hey, you know, good for that kid. Like you're going up, in my opinion. Again, nothing against Kent State. I'm just using a smaller school compared to an SEC school, but like I'm all for that. Like you're leveling up your competition to show that you can play at that level, and then you're gonna get drafted at a high draft pick where you make more money. So like I'm all for that. It's the guys who go from like Tennessee to Florida State to Oregon. Like you go to 3 big schools in a row because like you're not winning the job or something like that, and you just you're an excuse to go somewhere else. Like that always bothers me. But like, I've always wondered how, like, if you can't like commit to a team, right, and you're always bouncing around because you either got too hard or you didn't win, like how does that translate to the NFL? Like when you get to the NFL, there's no bouncing around teams. Like you're there for 4 years unless they just cut you, most likely. Yeah. And so like there's no, hey, things get hard, time to reset and move on to something else. No, like you just have to get hard. Like that's what it is. And so I'm just concerned with like the NFL moving forward. Like, is that teaching good habits? And are the kids coming in, are they going to be like good enough to like perform at a high level? And like, yes, there's always going to be the freaks of natures who are always going to be really good at football. But like overall, like is the level of football declining because kids are just going from roster to roster to roster and they're not building up good like fundamentals and good techniques, and they're just coming in with raw talent? That's what I've always wondered.
That's a really good point. It's something that I think about too, just on the professional level as well. I mean, like you said, guys are locked into a place for a certain number of years. But when I was growing up across most professional sports, the athletes were almost always like they were one team for the most part. Right?
Yeah.
Like I grew up in Boston, and it's like imagining Larry Bird playing for some other team other than the Celtics, or Magic Johnson playing for somebody other than, the Lakers is like anathema. It's like just weird. Right. And nowadays it does seem like players bounce around more, and I get it's a job. I get it, but it is an interesting dynamic where, I sort of yearn for the players that they just stay at one team. Maybe at the end of their career, they end up somewhere,
Sure.
whatever, like that kind of stuff happens, but it's kind of tough because, you have some player that you're really rooting for on your team. It's like all about your team. And then the next year he's on the opposite team, right? Like on your rival or something. And now it's like, we hate this guy now. And it just, I don't know. I think it detracts from the whole thing.
I think it does too. And like, I've always found it weird. Like you could be like, one guy could play on 5 teams in 4 years. And I'm like, what? Like, it's just the free agency about it just doesn't make sense to me. And like basketball is a crazy concept because these guys are getting super deals, and then they get traded after 1 year on their super deal, and now they're getting the super max deal from another team. I'm just like, that doesn't even make sense to me. I think football is less like there's always like big trades and stuff in the off season, but I think there's a lot of good guys who are out there sticking to their teams for 4 to 8 years. And honestly, in the NFL, if you play longer than 4 years, you're doing something right.
Right. True. Yep. For sure.
The NFL is not for long, right? The average career is like 2.7 to 3 years.
Yeah.
And so if you make it past 3 years, man, you figured something out, and you're doing something right.
And sometimes those things really work out, right? Like I would say, the Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford switch, like seemed to work out for both teams, right? That was a good call. So, you mentioned, the other thing I wanted to talk about kind of in this regard is the other thing that's the modern game is all of you guys now, you're not just athletes, you're a brand, you're a personal brand, right? And so it goes beyond just, and I suppose this is true going back, right? Like someone like Babe Ruth, that was a brand. He was a brand. They didn't call it that back then, but it's true. But more so now than ever, almost everybody has to be a personal brand. And you have to balance not only training and football, but media, things like this podcast. I think you have your own podcast.
I do.
Merchandising, advertisements. So how do you navigate all of that, right? And prioritize it too?
Well, the main thing how I prioritize it is, one, I'm incredibly thankful for the opportunities I get off the field because I thoroughly enjoy doing them. Like I enjoy shooting a Little Caesars commercial, a Bud Light commercial. Like I enjoy those. Those are fun to me. And what I have to remember at all times is the only reason I have any of those opportunities is because of what I do on a football field. And the second that you stop doing those things on a football field, no one really gives a shit. Excuse my language, but like no one cares. And so that's always been really easy for me to like my off seasons. Like how I do it is I basically give my marketing team, like, here's a week in March, here's 3 days in June, and those are my shoot dates. Anything you want me to do are in those like 10 to 12 days. And if it's not in those 10 to 12 days, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to probably do it. And so I've done a really good job of being able to like narrow those shoot dates down. And so then I have the rest of the off season to focus on my training, to focus on my mental health, to just hang out with my wife, and to like just be good. Like I don't really do a lot in season. There's a couple things like I might have to do an appearance on an off day for Christmas. Like I might do something like that, but like, that's not a heavy lift for me. It's 1 hour saying hi to some people. Like that's easy. Like you won't really see me doing any type of heavy lifting of, some marketing thing in the season, because it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Like football is what matters. And like, that's the reason I get all these cool opportunities. And I also like the way I schedule it too is, for me is if someone wants to shoot something with me, they come to my house and we film it at my workout facility. And those shoots start when I'm done with my workout. Like my workout goes from 8 a.m. to noon, and I start my shoot at 1 o'clock. And then you guys have from 1 until 3, 1 until 5 o'clock to get what you guys need. And once that time hits, I'm done, and you won't see me again unless, for another year. And so I do a pretty good job of that. And I'm very thankful my marketing team does a good job about, they've understood that. And they're like, hey, that's just the way it is. It's like, he's not flying to LA to do a 2-day shoot. Like, it's not happening, because I like my off season. I enjoy my off season, and I realize that like I need it so that mentally I can be prepared going into a season, because football is a very stressful sport. You have your team's depending on you. Like you want to do well just for yourself, like for your career. You have people gambling on you who let you know that they're gambling on you. You have your fantasy football coaches who let you know if you're playing well or you're playing not. There's a lot of voices.
Yeah.
Then you have the talking heads on social media and on ESPN, like people talking about you and your team. It's like there's a lot of voices that are constantly just coming at you. There's a lot of people pulling on you in 100 directions. And like what I've always tried to do is I try to avoid the social media stuff as best I can in season. You will never see me watching. Like I used to love Sports Center. You won't ever see me watching any type of sports show. I don't watch any of it. And like I just focus on football, what I can control. And then I kind of let the rest take care of itself, and those opportunities just take care of himself. And so like I always I value my off season so much, because it just like resets me. So then I'm ready for that stress when it hits again for the season, because I love football and I thoroughly enjoy football. But like there are some very stressful moments on it, whether it's on the field or off the field, there's stress behind it. So I like to always be as stress-free as I possibly can before the season starts. And so I like my off seasons, like I said.
Of all those things outside of football, is there one thing that you like to do the most of all that other stuff?
I'd say one of my favorite things to do is I have 75 acres in Nashville, Tennessee, and I love being on my property, like watching the sunrise and the sunset with my wife drinking a glass of wine. That's one of my favorite things. And then outside of that, I thoroughly love golf, and I really enjoy shooting guns. I thoroughly enjoy, I have a gun range on my property. And so we'll go down there after workouts, and I like to shoot guns. Like those are just like things that you don't like. I like doing things that don't make me think about football, and like to kind of take your mind off it. And like, that's what those things do for me. And like, I found a lot of success doing those things.
What kind of shooting do you do? Like, what are we talking about?
So I have a pond. I have a pond in my property, and it's like in the base of this valley. And so I just have targets set up all around the outside of the pond, and I sit on one side, and it's got metal targets, and I just go through it. And I have a little like pistol training place where we have a bunch of cardboard targets and stuff like that. And then I have a couple like rifles that I like to shoot at the metal targets, which is pretty fun for me.
Well, look, we have golf events and we have shooting events at the foundation. So if you ever on off season, you ever want to come do either one of those things, you're more than welcome.
I would love to. Yeah, that's really fun.
Talk about the off season. One of my buddies wanted to know this actually, how you I guess prioritize it, and then like kind of organize it, right? Because you have to go from just sort of working out by yourself, there's no contact, that kind of thing. And then how you transition that into prepping to get hit by a safety running full speed, right? Like, that's obviously a different thing, and you've done it a lot, so you know what it feels like. But
I do.
How does that preparation work exactly, right? Is there like a sequence to it, so to speak?
Yes.
What's that look like?
Well, so let's just say a season ends, and I've been fortunate to be on enough good teams where like we play into February, whether it's championship games or Super Bowls. And so like your off season, if you're playing in February, is OTA. So like, let's just say you play the Super Bowl, and that's February 14th. You're back in the building in less than 2 months. Like OTAs start mid-April. So you have basically the end of February, all of March, and then you have 2 weeks in April, then all of a sudden you're back at it. And then the season's right around the corner. So how I've always transitioned, like I've always looked at it is, as soon as the season ends, I take anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the health of my body, like how banged up am I, how healthy did I make it out? And I take those 2 to 4 weeks to, I'm a big stem cell guy. Like I believe in stem cells, and they work. Like I'm a huge believer in that. I go down to Panama twice a year for stem cells. And so like the first thing I do is, okay, how do I get my body back to like 100% as quickly as I can? And so I do those types of things, like just getting my body back. And so like those first couple of weeks, like I'm not really training, like I'm not running, I'm not lifting heavy weights. I'm doing some yoga, some body posture stuff, massages, just like getting my body back to a fully functioning level. Because at the end of the season, like you're really banged up, man. Like
Yeah.
after the last Super Bowl, I had, I had a, let's see, I fractured a bone in my shoulder with a grade 3 AC sprain. I had a fractured 8th rib. I had to get completely, had to redo my entire core. Had to get surgery to reattach my core, and my groin. Those are completely detached. Like
Oh,
basically like week 8 of the season. So I played like 12 weeks on a no core. And then I tore a ligament in my big toe. And so basically like that took me months before I could really, train at the level I wanted to train at. Now, if you make it out healthier than that, then like you take your couple weeks, you vacation, you mentally get away from football, you don't think about it anymore. And then usually like for me is, if I'm not in the playoffs, the day that the Super Bowl starts, the day after the Super Bowl is kind of when I start my training. And I always like ease into it. And then the closer you get to OTAs, the more you ramp up your training, the more you ramp up your running, the more routes you run, the more on the field stuff you do, the more cutting that you do. And then you do all your OTA stuff, like the teams preparing you to play football. And then that month of like you get 3 weeks of June and 2.5 weeks in July to basically pedal to the metal. How hard can I train? How can I put myself in the best position to be ready for training camp? How much cardio can I do? How many footballs can I catch? And like that in June and July is, I would say, that's when you see all the NFL players really going. And like you see them training at their hardest. And so like you'll see that around the league. And that's kind of what I do as well. Like that June and July is the hardest part of my training. And I've also learned like, I turned 32 next week and I played a lot of football. I played over 10,000 snaps. I get tackled a lot. I headbutt a lot of people. And so my training is it's changed a lot since I was younger. Like I used to be like, hey, February hits, grinding. Like how hard can we train? And now it's more like, hey, I have my base. Like I know how strong I need to get to play at this level. How do I build this program out of strength training and running to know where like what level I have to get to for OTAs and then what level I have to get to for the preseason. And my speed coach and my strength coach down in Nashville, they do a really good job with me on that. And they've evolved my training program just for those reasons. And so it's changed throughout my career, just like the intensity of it. But I've thoroughly enjoyed like the process of like each year is a unique year of training. Because like 2 years ago, I had surgery and I couldn't really train. Like really, I could hardly train until mid-May, like even early June. And then this past year, hey, let's see, we didn't make the playoffs. It's like I was training in February, like not as hard as I used to, but like enough to like just get my body built up. So then when, April rolls around, I'm in good shape and I'm ready to roll. And I felt fantastic the entire offseason. So that was pretty fun too.
how do you prep though for somebody hitting you full speed that, is just a wall of solid muscle?
I do a lot of stuff. Like when we're on the field, like I do a lot of blocking stuff. I'm very fortunate. I train so I built a facility at my place in Nashville. I have a 40-yard football field and an entire training facility. So I train with anywhere from like 8 to 15 guys from March until training camp, which is really fun for me. And so that's tight ends, linebackers, wide receivers, and offensive line. And so I do a lot of training on the field with the offensive line. Like we have pads out, we're coming off the ball, we're hitting each other. You're kind of moving around a little bit, like just the blocking pads. Like we're not in shoulder pads and helmets, but like just to kind of feel that out again. But like realistically, there's nothing you can do to train getting hit over going over the middle. Like there's no training thing I'm doing when a safety takes me out at the knees, or like if I have to go block a defensive end, he sees me and he runs through my face. There's not really a lot of training for that, but I like to hit a blocking sled. And like I just try to have all my fundamentals down as best I possibly can. So like when I get to those situations, I know how to react to them.
Yeah. So this is all physical stuff. Let's talk mental stuff. Because I know this is a big subject for you.
It is.
And I certainly knew who you were as an athlete, but I didn't really get to know you until I watched that Receiver Netflix special and was just like, wow, what a cool dude. Like just all the kind of things you do very much fall in my wheelhouse of kind of mental fitness tools, tricks, tactics that I've had to adopt as a veteran, right? And I think this is a place where professional athletes and veterans and elite veterans, like, like SEALs and whatnot, have a lot of overlap, right? I mean, obviously you're
sure.
talking about high caliber athletes that are like going full throttle all the time. And the mental aspect wasn't necessarily keeping up with that, right? It was always just like go hard, grind through, just like suck it up, do this. So just talk about how that piece of and what I wanted to say was like, watching you like what I would call manifesting stuff on the sideline, talking out loud about doing things is a really unique thing that you don't see a lot with professional athletes. They may do it, but you were the first person I ever saw doing that. And I was like, that's awesome. That's really cool. So talk about where that came into the picture for you, why, like maybe kind of your journey from a mental fitness, mental health perspective, and, what you do with that these days.
So the mental training stuff, that I didn't really have any concept of that until I was in college. And I dealt with, like my first couple years in college, like I said, I kind of dug myself a hole. I was like the 5th or 6th string tight end on the depth chart. And some of that was I'm 100% at fault. It was all my fault. It was like mental. I like to go out more than I like to focus on football. But then that kind of started to mess with my mental. And then I was second guessing myself, like, am I good enough to do this? And then so I started to get really, really bad performance anxieties, like in football, like this anxiety on a football field. And I finally went to a like sports psychologist at the University of Iowa. And, that was helpful, just like talking to somebody about what I was going through a little bit. But like the one thing I'll never forget it is they were like, hey, because I would always talk about like I'd have one bad play, then it would snowball to the next bad play. Then it would snowball to the next bad play. Right. Then all of a sudden, instead of having like a practice where you have one bad play, I had 20 bad plays. And then it's like, you have 20 bad plays, you're not going to ever see the field because it's terrible. And so I had this problem. And so she gave me this idea of, I had my wrist tape and I would draw a big red button on it. And after every single play, I would hit the button as like a physical mental reset.
Love it.
For every single play. And whether it was a good play, a great play, no matter what it was, hey, reset it, because the next play is your opportunity to have the best play of your life. And that's kind of how I started thinking about it. And that helped me tremendously because it would just like reset my focus onto that exact moment and not think about what was coming or what had happened. And that just allowed me like to play football without that, like that voice in my head telling me like, oh my God, you just messed up. You're going to do it again. Now it was, all right, what's the next thing? And like, what am I going to do next? And that was incredibly helpful to me because then I started going from, hey, you'd have a bad play, but then I'd have, hey, good play, great catch, great run, like all that stuff. And then I started to see some consistency. And I also think one of the biggest things for me mentally, right, that gives me confidence, that allows me to go out onto a football field and do the cool things that I do is I practice and work my ass off in the off season so that when I get to the moments of training camp, when I get to the moments of in a game and it's 3rd and 5 and I have to they call my name out and I have to make a play to win the game. I've done it so many times in the off season. Like I've ran that route so many times that I don't think about the gravity of the situation. Like I have my quarterback is in my backyard on my football field in March, throwing the ball to me on the same route that we're going to run on 4th and 2 in an NFC championship game. And so when I get to that moment, it's like, hey, I've done this so many times that like voice in your head or like the noise, I don't even hear it anymore because I've done it so many times. And that was like, that's one thing I always try to tell guys is like, if you want to get up, you want to have your confidence, you have to work so hard in the off season. So you've already experienced all these things.
Yeah.
And so then you're ready for those moments when they actually come. And like, that's that training aspect. And that's why football is so much fun to me because like you put all that practice in, you're ready for those opportunities. Like they're kind of seamless. It just happens because you're actually ready for them. It's like, that was one of my biggest like parts of my career is just like, I train so hard. So then when those moments come, I'm not thinking about them. So between the pushing the button and then that like building your confidence up, like those are 2 huge things for me. And then like fun fact. So I got this Joker tattoo. I think you can see it. And so I have the lips are the only thing that's painted on it and they're red. And so that's kind of my red button that I push.
Okay.
And I don't do it on every single play, but you'll see me once in a while, like hit the button and it just helps me continue. It still helps me to this day. And that's part of the reason I did it. So that was always a big thing for me. And then the thing you saw in receivers of like, my breath work, like breathing confidence,
Yeah.
exhale fear, breathe in belief, exhale doubt. And so I have like some of those, and I learned that from my dad. And that, I've talked a lot about, my dad writes me letters before every single game. He's done that since I was a sophomore in college. And, it really started off as my dad just like, because when your kids go to college, like the last thing I want to do when I go to college is call my parents and be like, oh, hey guys, what's up? Like, I want to go be a college kid and go hang out with my friends and, do dumb college stuff. And so it started off as just a way for him to like just give me advice, like without, his letters would have anything to do with, hey, when I was playing at Iowa, we were playing the Iowa State. And he was like, I remember in 1978, when I was playing Iowa State, like, this is what the game was like. This is what happened. This was my experience. This was kind of a history lesson. And then he would tie it back to like how much him and my mom care for me. They love me, the support that I have. And it was kind of like just like a positive reinforcement. And now they've evolved, like, and since I've been in the league. So like my dad, like he basically like, he'll write me a story sometimes of like, he'll like pull from Gladiator. He'll pull from Lord of the Rings. He'll pull from Halo. Like he'll pull from these things that I like, and he'll like show me a story and how it translates to the season and the kind of what we're dealing with. And he always gives me a bunch of awesome quotes. But one thing he started doing like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago was like affirmations with me. And like he would write out affirmations. And then I would kind of use them. I'd either use the ones that he wrote for me, or I would like put my own spin on them and say like the way that I wanted to do it. And so we started talking about like just like breathing in that confidence and exhaling the doubt that you possibly have. And those have gone a long way with me, and they've been incredibly helpful for me because it just kind of like settles your nerves. And to me, it flips a switch in my head. It's just like, I go from, hey, I'm having like joy of life, I love everybody, to flip the switch, let's go headbutt someone in the face and win a football game as violently as we possibly can. Because like, to me, like you can't live in that state with this flip switched on all the time.
Yeah.
You can't do it. Like it's draining, it's debilitating. It'll affect your home life. Like it's way too hard. And so I have like a sequencing of events that I do on every game day that allows me to flip that switch. And then once it's on, it's like, oh, let's go, MFer. Like we're going to go hit somebody.
Yeah.
And so that's been a really fun one. And this is actually really cool. Just a couple of days ago, my position coach said that he was at his daughter's flag football game, and one of the girls came up to him on her team and said, hey, I thought this was cool. I was dealing with sports anxiety, and I watched George on the receiver show, and I started doing his breath work before every game, and it's helped me out a lot. And now I'm not stressed anymore. And like, to me, that's the reason why I said yes to doing a Netflix show, because when initially they asked me to do it, I said, absolutely not. Like, I don't want a camera crew follow me around. Like, I want to win like I'm trying to win a football game.
Yeah.
I don't want to be distracted. And it was really, my wife was the one who convinced me to do it. And she was like, look, one, you're a really cool guy. You're very normal. You're the same guy every single day. Like, all this is going to show people is like the things that you do that make you you. And also, this is something in 10 years we can show our kids, and they can see like an in-depth behind the scenes look at what you were like when you played in the NFL, because we don't have kids yet. So it's like, hey, my kids, they can grow up watching that. And so I was like, okay, you sold me on it. And now looking back on it, I'm really happy I did it, because one, NFL Films did a great job. Like, they weren't a distraction at all. It was pretty easy. But they, the amount of people who have hit me up about like the breathwork stuff it's really cool. Yeah. Because I'm a guy too, like I like to throw shit at a wall, and if it sticks, then I'll keep using it. And if it doesn't stick, then hey, I'll move on from it. And hey, sometimes the stuff that worked before doesn't work anymore, but like I like trying things, and I like giving people options and showing people that there's ways to, go through life that it doesn't have to be so hard. And if you can just use a couple like tricks, it just makes life significantly easier. And so I was really happy that I went back and did that. But that's the breathwork stuff is always cool. And I'm big into visualization too. Like, I love to sit there and visualize like the craziest plays. Like, I'll sit there the night before a game in bed, and I'll like just close my eyes and breathe. And I'm big on like, I have to memorize all the plays that we have in. Like, I have to see them, and I have to visualize myself going through them. And so but when I visualize them, like I visualize myself making like the craziest play ever. Like, it could be a simple route, and then in my head, I'll visualize myself running the route, catching the ball one-handed, truck sticking a guy, hurdling a guy, and running 80 yards for a touchdown. Like, I visualize that. Well, hey, now that might not happen, but like, I visualize those crazy plays so that when they do happen, it's like, oh, I did that last night in my head. I'm good to go. And like that, I've had a lot of success doing that one too. Just like the visualization, speaking things into existence. I mean, it works to me.
Yeah. Man, there's so much stuff out of that. There's like, I could ask about
I
10
know.
different questions right now. So a couple comments I just want to make. One, I love the red button thing. I've never heard that.
Yep.
And that is a great idea.
That's a good one.
I may adopt it myself just for life in general. But
great.
I think for like, I always think of how you impart these kinds of things on kids, because I have 4 sons or 4. I have 3 sons. I do not have 4. I have 3 kids, all boys, and they're all athletes.
Yep.
And like, that's such a great thing to do there. I'm also like taking note, the letter thing is just giving me ideas too. I'm like, man, I need to up my game as a dad, just as a sports.
Dude, I'll tell you, Chris, about the letters. So my parents, my family, like I get a suite for them now at home games, just because like I have big groups of people that come, and people really like talking to my wife and my dad. And the last game that my family sat like in the family section at Levi Stadium was a preseason game. And I think it was 2021. And there was a line where my parents say they sat in like the 10th row. There was a line from where my dad and my wife are sitting that went back like 30 rows of like just people wanting to come down and talk to my wife and my dad. And all these dads came down and talked to my dad about his letters and asked him for how to write the letters and what he was doing. And like, I have dads that DM me, and my dad has people that DM him about the letters, and if they could like see some, and if they could like, learn from it, because I think it's a great idea, because awesome. I mean, I have all the letters still. I have every letter my dad's ever written me. I have a folder back in Nashville, and then I have my whole nightstand here is just, as the last 4 years, I just cleaned out my nightstand and I found all my letters back from like 2020 and 2021. And they're just fun to go back and read. And now he used to handwrite them, but we stopped doing that because one time a letter got lost in the mail, so I didn't get it. And so he types it, he emails it, and then it's in my backpack. And so I read them on game day. But, so now we have them all like he has them on his laptop. So I have the whole file of all of his letters. So I go back anytime between 2014 to 2025, and I can see all my dad's letters, which is pretty cool.
That's so cool. My one buddy, Dan, who is like of all these guys, he is definitely the most hardcore NFL guy. Like I think he listens to nothing but sports radio. He specifically wanted me to ask about it kind of became a meme like this after the Super Bowl loss in 2020, where you're basically doing this at the end. You're saying, I will be back with a vengeance kind of thing. Was that just because it's such a good example, right? Like you see, and this is all walks of life in any sport, any sport, any level, anything like that. You can hang your head and blame and finger point and get all down, and you seemingly right in the moment were handling that about as best as anybody could possibly do it. And did you know that you were being recorded then, or is this just like spontaneously what you were doing kind of would have that kind of an impact and looked at that way?
So like, I knew I was mic'd up for the game because they tell you that, but like in that moment, no, I'm not thinking of like, I don't even know what made me say that.
Yeah.
I think it was just more of like a frustration, like with the outcome of the game. And I was just like, it felt like personally, it was just like, I felt like they didn't get like our best shot. Like, I just didn't feel like we as a team put our best, like we didn't give them our best shot. And so it's just like, for how hard that season was, it's just like, I'm gonna do everything in my power. And I know that I will get back here, and I'm gonna have another opportunity at it. And hey, we didn't win that one either, which, hey, that sucks, but hey, that's life. It is what it is. But I mean, I still have the same mindset moving forward. It's like, I'm going to get another shot at it. And hey, third time's a charm for me, but I'm just going to keep chipping away at it until I get another opportunity at it.
Yeah. I just think it's so important, again, as a dad that is dealing with kids who fail in sports and the game doesn't always go their way. Or like my youngest son is a figure skater, and it's like, it doesn't always hit the podium, and it can be really disappointing depending on the stage that he's at. It's like that moment there is there's an important lesson there, and just kind of learning that aspect of it. On the mental side too, what's your cut on how much that could be improved across the league or even professional sports in general, right? Because when I look at guys like you, I feel like, man, you're physically are so dialed in. certainly can be. Like all the tools are there, right? In terms of nutrition and recovery and training. And I mean, it's like so dialed in, 99th percentile there. And certainly there's a team dynamic you have to work on too. You're not just a bunch of individuals. So that's a challenge for the coaching staff and everybody, the leaders within the team. But I feel like the mental game, not just, again, just grind through, but like how you respond to failure, how you respond to, like, I look at somebody like Derrick Henry right now, who, you know, had like 2 fumbles in 2 games right at the beginning of the season where it basically turned the game, right? And he's like a super elite athlete, right? Like incredible. But that's something that can really screw with your head, right?
It can, yeah.
So how much room is there to improve with those athletes, and how are teams kind of adopting that in a way that they haven't in the past? You know, I just think that I look at it and think, when I see some guy walk off the field and smash his helmet on the ground, I'm like, that could probably be improved upon, that kind of thing, you know?
So what I've learned in the NFL is that it is like the biggest melting pot, I think, in all sports, because you have, like, at the beginning of the season, you have 90 guys on a roster fighting for roster spots that come from all walks of life, right? You have me from Iowa in the Midwest. You have guys from Florida State. I had a teammate, Javon Kinlaw, who he grew up without hot water. Like, they had to go find water, bring it back, heat it up, and then take a shower. So you have guys come from all walks of life that handle their emotions very differently. And what I learned very early is that not everybody is going to handle their emotions, in the same way, which is totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you're not like fighting your coaches and your teammates, like I can work with it. Like I've seen guys slam their helmets before and like, hey, it is what it is. As long as you exert that emotion, as long as you can do it, and then you can come back.
And I agree with you. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is what it is. I will say that the NFL, since I've been in the league, has done each year, the mental health awareness has grown and grown and grown.
Yeah.
Like we have a sports psychologist in our building. What is it? 3 or 4 days a week, regardless. And he has meetings with, I don't know how many guys he meets with. Now I've talked to some guys, like I would say at least 20 to 30 guys talk to him throughout the week. And it might not be every week, but it's like every couple of weeks, like they just go in there, have someone to talk to. So I think like the teams are providing that resource now, and they're way more into it, and like very qualified people. So I think they're doing a great job about like preaching mental health and being aware of like how stressful this profession is, especially with like all the social media and the fantasy football and the gambling. Like there's a lot of people telling you that they don't like you for not playing well.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. And so it's very hard to deal with, especially like if you're big into social media and you're like looking at all that stuff. Like there's nothing like, hey, you have a game where you have 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. There's nothing like going online and seeing how awesome you are. People telling you how you're the best player in the world. Oh my gosh, you're amazing. And at the same time, you go out, you have 3 drops and you lose the game and you have a couple penalties, and the entire world seems like it's coming for you, and everybody in the world hates you. So it's like, that's a tough place to live in, back and forth. And mentally, like me personally, like I fell into that early in my career. Like I'd see the highs and I'd see the lows, and it would affect me mentally, to a point where like my wife now just yells. She goes, absolutely not. Get off of that. Like, no, don't even look at that.
Right.
Like, shut up, stop it, which is fantastic for me, because now I've gotten to the point where like, I haven't read an Instagram comment in a long time.
Good.
Like there's no reason, like whether it's a good game or a bad game.
Nobody follows me.
Yeah. It's like, you don't even look at stuff, because like it's so, you can see 1,000 things how you're the best, and then one person can just say one bad thing and you'll remember it for a long time, and it affects your mental. And so I think guys understand that now. Like you have some guys who go out there and they'll argue with people on social media, which is funny. Like I think it's funny when I see like somebody talking shit back to a fan. I'm like, I wouldn't have done it that way, but it's funny. Like, good for you. That's how you handle it, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of guys are getting away from that. Like there's so many guys in the league who like, they don't even, their Instagram, their Twitter, their TikTok, whatever it is, like those are all just deactivated for the entire season.
Yeah.
And then they come back to it in the off season, because then, hey, no one's really yelling at you and stuff like that. But I know plenty of guys that do that. I know what LeBron called it, like 0 dark 30 when he was in the playoffs or something like that. I know a ton of guys that do that. And I think it's way more mentally healthy to do that
Yeah.
than to be scrolling all day, because that stuff is toxic and it's dangerous.
The psychiatry stuff is great, like having that therapist or whatever they call them on staff, but are they also doing like, hey, we're going to teach you guys how to meditate and how to do breath work and how to like do some journaling practices, right? Like sort of like teach people to fish rather than they've always got to like come to an office to talk to somebody.
Yes. I would say it's more, so like the team provides resources like that.
Okay.
They do. Like they're like, hey, and like they have people in the building, like we have people with jobs who are there just for the players to like provide them with materials and to provide them with resources. But like I would say a majority of that is kind of focused on young players, because like if you've been in the league for 5+ years, majority of the time you have like your mental kind of figured out of like what really works for you. A majority of the guys do. And the young guys coming out of college, a lot of them don't. And so like there's a lot of resources poured into the rookies and the second year guys about whether it's like, I don't know necessarily breath work, but it's like mental tips of things to do. I think they focus on just providing them a foundation of like, this is the things that you need to do if you want to be successful. And if you want to have money at the end of your, like they do a lot of money stuff. Like they just provide all these resources for these rookies. Cause one of the best quotes I've ever heard is like, you don't know what you don't know. And like, I didn't know a lot for a long time and I still don't know a lot, but like, I know a lot more now than I did my rookie season.
Yep.
And there's all these things that you just haven't experienced that. So like, you have no idea. Like, I'll give you an example. I'm a freak when it comes, I'm a sneakerhead. Like I love shoes.
Oh, I remember this. I remember this from the show.
I love shoes. I have a crazy shoe collection. I love shoes. But also back in 2020, I broke my foot. And so I went down this rabbit hole of like foot and shoe health. Like, why did my foot break? Was it the cleat I was wearing? Was it the practice surface? Was it the surface that I was playing on? And like, what could I do for my feet? So like, I went down this rabbit hole about feet and shoes. And I found out a lot of things about shoes. And so like now, like I have this saying, like, you don't want to be in, and this is like, you don't know what you don't know. Like I found out about this stuff, but like, if you wear a shoe with like a skinny toe and a fat heel, like some of those Air Maxes and stuff that people sell, and you always walk, your heel's never coming to a like full extension. So your Achilles is never fully extending, right? Yep. And so your Achilles shortens. And then the next time you go out on a football field and you plant, your Achilles fully extends, you could tear your Achilles because it doesn't do it, right? And like my dad's torn 2 Achilles. I know plenty of guys who've torn their Achilles. And like, that's something that I learned in my process is like, you just don't want to wear those big ass heels all the time because it fucks with your body. And like, I say that to rookies because I see rookies wearing these thick ass heels. I'm like, stop it. Don't do it. Like, it might not affect you now. It might not affect you this year or next year. But like when you turn 25, 26, 27 and you have wear and tear on your body, that Achilles will go because you're wearing the wrong shoes. And like, that's like, you don't know what you don't know, but like no one's telling them that. Like, that's not something that is like spoken out loud to guys all the time. But like, I try my best to not like force information onto young players because most of the time it just goes over their head. Oh, they're just like, oh yeah, I get you. As soon as someone looks at me and they go, I get you, I know that they didn't hear a word that I just said. Yeah. Like majority of the time. And so I try to like, I pick and choose when to talk to young players about certain things because so many things are over their head because they're thinking about a million things at a time. Yeah. And so that's one thing I've also learned just being like a older player. It's like, you have to talk to young players and certain players in a certain way to make sure your point gets across in the right way.
Oh, for sure. The other place that I think there's an intersection with kind of special operations forces, military, and NFL is brain health, right? That's the other thing that's become a big deal. And I'm curious, there's kind of people that aren't really familiar with this, I think they all lump it together. There's a little bit of a different thing here where you talk about the injury that can, like TBIs that can happen. Sure. In the NFL, the contact sports like that, it's more often, it's kinetic and that can lead to CTE. And in special operations, there can be some of that, but a lot of times it's blast exposure and you have this other kind of like injury that happens. I'm curious what that's like inside the NFL now, like in terms of, I mean, obviously you see the guys wearing the big padded helmets now sometimes. It's obviously taken a lot more seriously. But do guys now, are you thinking about it a lot more than you were like growing up or whatever? Because, you know, when I was a kid, people didn't even talk about that. It wasn't even a thing. And now it's like, hey, this is a real risk, right? And there's danger here. And there's rules, obviously they've changed to try to protect, but still, I'm just kind of curious what it's like.
Well, I would say the NFL has done such a better job in the last 10 years of focusing on concussions and your brain health and like the precautions that they take from it. I think they do a great job. Like they do a really good job. But like at the end of the day, my job is to headbutt people for like, if it's a run play, like I'm here, the defensive lineman's here and we're doing this.
Yeah.
And 9 out of those 10 plays, we're hitting our heads at some point. Right. And so like, I'm not getting a concussion on every single play, not doing that. Like you're getting your bell rung pretty often throughout an entire game and then throughout a practice and then throughout an entire season. Like that's the reality of football. So I wouldn't say it's not something that like, I don't think about it all the time. I definitely didn't think about it growing up. Like I didn't even think about a concussion or a head thing. Like, no, I didn't think about it once. You do become like more aware of it. And like, there's times where like, well, there's times that, there's times to protect yourself. There's times to lower your head, go hit somebody. But like for me, like I take a lot of, what word am I, like, I feel safer in the NFL now because the helmets have been developed to such a better level. And now like you see guys who like still wear like the old school helmet. Like if I wore Aaron Rodgers' helmet, I would have a concussion on every play.
Yeah.
He wears that thing. It's from like the like he's a quarterback. He can wear it. Like I couldn't wear that helmet. And so like, I'm not one who's like, I know vet players who are like, I have to wear the same helmet my entire career because I like it. I'm wearing the newest, best helmet every year. I do not care what it looks like. Don't care. Whatever's the safest. And so that gives me a little bit of ease at mind, I would say. Like I'm not as focused on it, but like I do things in the off season, like stem cells and stuff like that. Like I'm big into red light. I'm big into things that are like protecting me in the future down the line. Like I might not feel the effects of, football right now in my head, but hey, there's so many players, that have retired, have talked about their brain health and stuff like that who have issues. So like, hey, what can I do now that's going to set me up for success later in 10 to 15 years? After I've taken 15,000 snaps and people have hit me a lot. So that's one of the things that it gives me a little bit of ease wearing like better technology. You have the pads on your head now to help with that. So like there are ways that the NFL is doing a good job about it, but like inevitably that's just football and you can't really take that out because that's just what the game is.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your kind of veteran work and military stuff.
Yeah.
So here we are, like you're now an official you're sort of part of this inaugural class of official teammates at the Navy SEAL Foundation, which is essentially you're an ambassador, an unpaid ambassador, which is amazing for us, for you to kind of like, do this out of the kindness of your heart to kind of help kind of spread the word of what we do and support us in that way. But which is great. And I'd love to just get your cut on kind of what brought you on board, like what made you want to do that. But then also talk a little bit, you've done other veteran stuff. I think you have an app or something like that as well, or something that kind of supports veterans. So just kind of talk about why that's important to you, like the veteran community, the military community, why that's a cause that you believe in.
I got you. Let me start with the app. The app is basically, so me, my sister and my dad, we have like a podcast and like a wellness of life. And so it's called the Hidden Pearls Podcast, or the app is called Hidden Pearls Studio. And that started off as when we started this podcast, for every state, like let's just say the Niners would play at the New York Giants, and I would have a Giants player on the podcast and they would talk about a foundation or a community service event that they felt connected to. And then my dad would interview that place. So like we'd interview, let's say a community center in New York that Evan Ingram used to go to and volunteer at. And then we'd make a donation to them. So we'd be finding the hidden pearls around the United States. And so that's kind of how it started. And then the app it's like all for wellness. So like if you get on there, you'll see my dad's doing meditation, my sister's teaching yoga, my dad's teaching yoga. And they do such a good job about it's just providing a bunch of tools for people to use who just either want to relax, they want to get mentally healthier, physically healthier. And it's just like a very safe place to do it. And, it's really fun too, because my dad and my sister are both incredibly qualified at the yoga stuff. My dad, I think, is fantastic at breath work, the meditation stuff. Like he does it well. He my dad's on calls all the time, leading meditation groups for veterans, for people going through issues. And so like they do a really good job at that. And, you know, at the end of the day, like I help there when I can, but those are the two professionals, in my opinion, that do a good job at that. But like they're just providing avenues for people to use if they're dealing with something. And that's all that is. It's like, we're just trying to provide a spot where guys can go and, you know what, I want to do a 30-minute yoga session with some meditation afterwards. And that's an hour of my day. And I'm going to feel significantly better from it. And they've done a really good job with that. The veteran stuff, that whole thing started because, when I was a kid, one of my, this is fun. My mom is one of 10 girls.
Oh, wow.
In her
10
family.
girls? Yep. All girls?
10 girls, all girls.
Wow.
It's amazing. They all grew up in small town Iowa. Their mom is still alive. She's 102 years old. She's an absolute animal. Her name is Lucky. So shout out Lucky. She's a queen. But so my mom has 10, she has one of 10. So she has 9 sisters. And what really started was one of my mom's sisters, her husband, his name's Pat Cohen. He was in the National Guard. He did 3 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I grew up right next to them. And so like I would always be there with my cousins when he would leave. And I just like, as a kid, like I loved him. He was awesome. He was always like the life of the party. He'd have barbecues. You know, he'd always chase the kids around. Him and my dad would like take full advantage of Halloween and like dress up as Jason and Freddy Krueger and to like scare kids. Like they're just so much fun. But like you'd feel that space and that emptiness when he was gone. And like that just hit me when I was a kid, and I was like, God, that sucks. Like I couldn't imagine like my dad not being there. And then like the older I got, and then like I learned more about like the stuff he was doing, and then like the trauma that veterans face when you go through stuff like losing your teammates, your best friends, like in just terrible ways. And then like that just like, I don't know, a light bulb clicked in my head, and I was like I play football for a living. That's my job. I go out in a stadium every Sunday and I get paid a lot of money to catch a football and hit people. Like, and while it's stressful and it's incredibly difficult, like I'm living my dream. And yes, is there a chance I could have a severe injury? Sure. But like, I'm in the United States playing football, hanging out with my family the rest of the week. Like I live a fantastic life. And the only reason I can do that is because of the soldiers and the veterans who have done the things that they've done to like let the United States be the United States. And it was just like, yeah, like a light bulb switch in my head. I was like, I want to do more supporting those people because one, like I love America and I love the United States. I thoroughly enjoy living here. And I thoroughly enjoy like every veteran or like every vet I meet is just like puts a smile on my face. And I thoroughly enjoy that. And then the other big one happened. I was at the after the 2018 season. I made it to my first Pro Bowl, and the Pro Bowl did an event with TAPS, like the families who lose somebody at war. And I got to meet this family. It was the Garcias. So you had Christina, the mom, Gracie, who was a young girl, and then Liam was the kind of middle-aged son. So I was in 2018. We're beginning to 2019. And like, just like that one day of interaction I had with them on the field and like doing like an event with them. I think we built like an American flag together. I had so much fun just hanging out with them. And like, it also like just made me realize like, this is just like a small percentage of the families who have lost somebody or are like these 2 kids are growing up without a dad. And the amount of fun they had on that one day, just hanging out with me and a bunch of Pro Bowlers, I was like, I would like to do as much as I can, like to give back to families that are experiencing stuff like this, because like I literally can't even comprehend it. It's like, it's over my head. Like I could never think about like growing up without my mom or my dad. And so I've always just wanted to give back to people who put everything on the line for us back here. And we don't even know, I don't know, 10% of the things that you guys actually do, like the Black Ops stuff that you guys do, the secrets that you're forced to keep, like the things that you guys live with on an everyday basis. And then like, you're just supposed to come home and act normal after you're deployed for 6 months and you've been breaching doors. And you have no idea if there's a grenade triggered next to a door that could blow up. Like the things that you guys deal with, like I've never had to once deal with that. And so I've always wanted just to do everything I can to use the platform I have as an NFL player to support people that actually are the reason that we were doing what we're doing. And so, yeah, that's a long-winded answer, like trying to say, like, I love the military and the things that they do, because I would be playing football if it wasn't for you guys.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. And we're honored to have you. And thanks for your time too. So I'll tell you what, let's wrap it up. Let's go with some of the rapid fire kind of, sillier stuff, right? It's not that silly,
Please.
but
I love it.
So greatest bromance in the NFL now, or maybe all time and now particularly.
Let's see. I'm going to go, number one is me and Kyle Juszczyk.
Okay. That was one of the
fullback.
potentials on here. Yep.
Yep. That is because, this is our 9th year in a row of playing together. And so I thoroughly enjoy that. And I got to know, we've like got to grown up together, which is pretty fun. We got to do a lot of fun stuff together. Got to play in a lot of big games together. That's one bromance. One that comes just like instantly is Tom Brady and Gronk. That's awesome. That's a great bromance. Mahomes and Kelsey is a great bromance. And then another really good one I always loved watching was Aaron Rodgers and David Bakhtiari, the left tackle for them.
Okay.
I always enjoyed that one because there's always be videos of them in the off season. Like, do you remember the one they're like sitting courtside at a Milwaukee Bucks game and David Bakhtiari chugs a beer and then Aaron Rodgers is like sipping on his whiskey, and then it cuts back to David Bakhtiari and he's chugging another beer, and it cuts back to Aaron, he's still sipping on the same whiskey, and it comes back and David Bakhtiari is on his 3rd beer chugging it. And I just always enjoyed that bromance because I know David, he lives in Nashville, so I hang out with him every once in a while, and he's like the life of the party, great dude. But like seeing that bromance while I was playing against them was always pretty fun.
Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah. The one that you said Brady and Gronk, he was saying Brady and Edelman. So I don't know. Maybe that's
well, now definitely Brady and Edelman. That Patriots core there from like basically 2013 to 2020 was pretty elite.
Yeah.
Those guys loved each other.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That was my team, right? That's where I grew up outside Boston. So did the smelling salts ban mess with your pregame ritual?
Ooh, so the nice thing, so the NFL changed it. It started off as a ban, and then when I made a stink about it, it went from now the team just can't provide the smelling salts. So now I can buy my own smelling salts. I just had to bring them on the sideline. And so basically what we did is me and Nick Bosa have purchased a large sum of smelling salts, and they'll just like count them in a container on the sideline so guys can just go up and grab them themselves.
Okay.
Because yes, it would mess with me because the first preseason game when they couldn't do it and guys are going on the side like, hey, do you have any smelling salts? I'm like, this could be a problem because I'm at least 50 to 75% of the roster uses smelling salts at least once a game. I use them before every drive.
I have never used
every drive.
What does it do? Like, I've never even tried a smelling salt. Just amps you up a little bit?
It's ammonia, and so you just crack it, and it instantly is just like, it's like getting slapped in the face as hard as you possibly can.
Oh, wow.
It's fantastic. It's just like alert, locked in, and it's just like, I don't know, it's like a turbo boost for 5 seconds.
Okay.
And I've always thoroughly enjoyed those.
Maybe I should try that before I do these podcasts. Give that a go.
You should order some on Amazon, the little white ones, and try one out, and just make sure when you break it, go straight up so you get the
full effect.
Because the first like 3 seconds of it, that baby, it's like getting it's like a right hook to the face. It's awesome. I love it.
Nice. Who are your all-time kind of football heroes? I would say 2 kind of things, like all-time football heroes, and then in the current NFL, outside of your own team, who do you kind of idolize?
Growing up, my favorite player of all time is Ron Dane, the running back from Wisconsin, because I went to every single one of his games. And like when he would have a big run, the whole stadium would go, Ron Dane, the whole stadium. And it was just like infatuating. And so I fell in love with him. And then Brian Urlacher was my other favorite because I was a Bears fan. And I'm a huge Devin Hester with his punt returns and kickoff returns. So like I was always a fan of like Dallas Clark and Peyton Manning because he was an Iowa tight end. And so I followed him. And then Peyton Manning was just always so cool. So like those are some of the guys I thoroughly enjoyed growing up. And then now, let's see, guys I love watching outside of my own team. I mean, I like watching guys who are just so skillful with a football in their hands. Like I'm like enamored with it. So like when you see like Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, like the things they do with a football, and they can like literally like, if they have a good game, there's like really nothing that you can do except for hopefully that someone else messes up on their team. And like guys that can impact a game like that, like I've always had, like I just enjoy watching it. Like I enjoy watching good football. And then I would say, I grew up, I watched Travis Kelce his first 3-4, I think I watched his first 4 years when I was in college. And then I've been like competing against him and playing alongside of him for the last 9 years. So like, it's always been fun. Like I love watching Travis's tape, and it's been fun too, because we become good friends, and just turns out he's also an awesome human being too. So that's been pretty fun to become friends with him. And then trying to think, I would say I always love watching like Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, just like what things they do with like how they get open. They're getting double covered and somehow they're open by 10 yards. And like you watch the route and you're like, how did you put your foot down? You're facing this way and somehow you end up turning that way in one step. Like, how did you do it? Like that's always, I like watching guys who are just like so gifted. That's just like, I could do that if I tried, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah,
I've always enjoyed that.
On Lamar and Josh Allen, I would say that Bills Ravens game, whatever that was, week 2 or earlier, that was one of the best games I've ever seen. That was such an awesome game to watch.
So fun. It's so much fun.
So last couple ones here. I was asking about I guess you have a Calvin and Hobbes tattoo on your. There it is, right? Right as I'm saying it, it's up in the camera. Do you look down at that? Is that like a reminder for you to take life less seriously or something like that?
Well, I learned how to reading Calvin the Hobbes growing up. Literally, basically until I went to college, I would wake up, I'd grab the newspaper, and I would read the comics every day. Like that was what I did since I was a little kid. And then my parents got me all the Calvin and Hobbes books when I was younger, and that's how I learned how to read. And so I kind of view myself as I'm Calvin, and then I have Hobbes with me at all times. Like I'm just try to be carefree, try to laugh at the world. And then I also have one of my favorite quotes I tatted right underneath it. And it says, I suppose if we couldn't laugh at things that don't make sense, we couldn't react to a lot of life. And that one just kind of stuck with me because I laugh at a lot of things. And there's some things that I probably shouldn't laugh, but I still laugh at it because that's just how like I interpret it. Like that's the emotion that comes from me. And it always reminds me just to kind of like, just smile through it sometimes. And that can go a long way.
Yeah. Okay. And that's perfect. So these are last 3. They're all kind of related here. One is kind of that. Great. It's just like you come across as somebody who just loves doing this, like really enjoys life in general. Just kind of curious if is that just natural for you, or is that something you have to kind of like manifest, as we were talking about, out of yourself? It seems to come naturally, but I think it's really inspiring for people, and I'm just kind of curious about that. And then how do you feel about being called the people's tight end? And then, which kind of relates to that a little bit. And then lastly, I would say, like, what do you, if you had to carve out a legacy, what would you want that to be?
Ooh, okay. What was the first thing you asked me?
Just like the sort of exuberance that you bring as a player.
Exuberance for life.
Yeah.
You know what? I said, I'm living my dream job. I've always loved life. Like, I thoroughly enjoy hanging out with my friends. I thoroughly enjoy hanging out with my wife. I love experiencing cool things. And like, there's just so many cool things to do in the world. And so I wake up every day just like thankful that I woke up. Like I'm just always happy. And a lot of that comes too is like, my mom taught me when I was a little kid. She said that if you try to make one person smile every day, because then there's more people that are happy and smiling in the world, and the world just might be a better place because you make one person smile. And I kind of lived my entire life about that. Like, I just try to make people smile and live life, because life is hard and there's really bad days. And like, I have bad days, like everybody, you have bad days, but it's like, not every day has to be bad. And to me, like some days you can, like, there's obviously like, hey, someone that you love passes away. that's a bad day and that's going to suck for a while. But like mentally, you have to find a way to get over those bad days. And I also I don't let things bother me. Like, I don't really get pissed off ever. I'm just like if someone cuts me off, if someone, if I got rear-ended by somebody, I'm not really mad. Like, hey, I'm still here. Nothing terrible happened. It's a mild inconvenience, but hey, it is what it is. Or, hey, my dog's off the leash and a lady yells at me from across the street telling me that it's dangerous to let my dog off the leash. Well, is that very annoying? Yeah, but it's not going to ruin the rest of my day. Like, I don't care. What's that quote about, you have however many seconds in a day, like you have 50,000 seconds in a day. Or if you had a bank account and you had to spend them all, you'd have to spend them. And that's how I view it. Like, if someone's going to ruin 4 seconds out of your day, are you going to let that ruin the rest? Is that the rest of your day is just up in smoke, or are you going to enjoy the rest of it? So yeah, it's kind of how I've always looked at life that way. And then the other one in regards to making people smile and stuff is the other thing my parents instilled in me is treat others how you want to be treated. And so I just always try to treat people with as much respect and joy as I possibly can, because that's how I want people to talk to me. And I don't know that every situation and every conversation is going to be full of happiness and fun, because some of them suck. But if you can go around and treat people really well, and then they treat people really well, I think just the earth needs more love, especially today. There's just a lot of hatred, a lot of bad things going on. So I just try to put love out there, and sometimes it sticks, sometimes it doesn't. The people's tight end is one of the coolest things that ever happened to me when The Rock said that. I'm very happy that it's not self-proclaimed. I like nicknames that, come naturally.
Yeah.
So that's one of the coolest things that has ever happened to me. And I love it because I try to be just me every single day. No matter, hey, I pulled my hamstring and I'm going to give myself, I gave myself 48 hours to kind of be down in the dumps and be sad about it. And then, hey, all right, well, there's nothing to be sad about anymore. Let's flush it. The reality is what the reality is. How am I going to get back and play with my teammates again? So how do I attack that recovery? How do I move on from it? And then, hey, I'm over it. And there's emotions and, stuff that come from watching other people play football, and I can't right now because, I'm banged up. And that, it's frustrating. But again, it's just all you can do is focus on what you can control. And that's my rehab and my attitude when I show up every single day. So I'm going to attack it with love and vigor every single day. And, we'll go from there. So the people side in is just, I love it because I just try to be myself. And I'm, in reality, I'm just a kid from the Midwest who happens to be good at football. So, that's going to be gone at some point. I'm not going to play football anymore, but I can still leave behind a legacy of love and joy and passion for a game that has given me a platform, a bank account, and a life to live with my wife. So if I can just leave, I learned at Iowa was you always want to leave your jersey in a better place, because guys come through and they use your numbers again. But the last time you wear that jersey, you want to leave it in a better place. And what did you do while you were in the jersey? And I think about that all the time. So that 85 jersey, whenever I'm done playing, I just want to make sure it's in a better place than when I first got it. And I did right by my team, the guys around me, and, and the fans too, because I love Niners fans. They're so enthusiastic and passionate about the game of football. So if I can leave my jersey in a better place, then I think I had a good career.
What about your legacy? If you were to carve that out, is that, or is there more to it?
I've never really obviously I'd love to be in the Hall of Fame. I want to win Super Bowls. I want to do that type of stuff. But really it's if my dad told me when I first got into football that the eye in the sky doesn't lie, and that's your tape, right? That's your resume. And whatever you put on that tape at every practice, at every workout, at every game, that's what people around the league see. And that's what people respect. And so if I can, every single time I step on that field and every single time someone turns on my tape, whether it's from 2019, whether it's from 2023, 2025, they're going to see a dude who hits people in the face, who loves the game, and makes really fucking cool plays. And if you can turn on my tape and I hope in 2035, they're pulling up George Kittle tape saying this is how you play tight end. This is how you do it. If you don't do it this way, you're doing it the wrong way. So I want to leave behind, this is a standard that you have to play at, and you have to be able to hit people in the face, and you have to be able to catch the ball and run away from people. That's how I view the tight end position. So yeah, leave the jersey in the better place, leave the position in a better place.
Thanks for listening to On the X, the official podcast of the Navy SEAL Foundation and an Ironclad original series. Learn more at NavySealFoundation.org or text On the X to 60104. Please like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.